and I'm not going to get my feelings hurt because I'm look. That's what when I got sober, and I go back to me because I'm my own reference point. When I got sober, it wasn't to get my job back or some crap like that. It was to save my life and save my marriage and save my relationship with my children, and you know what I mean, for all
Yeah.
these other reasons. And then as I started living right, literally years later, I said, "Hey, are you sober? Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can do this if you want me to." And
Yeah.
the rest was history. But like, I didn't get sober to get my driver's license back or to get my, you know what I mean? It
No.
was life or
Yeah.
death, and you know that better than anybody. And I
Yeah.
think that's a pretty cool segue into our conversation when you we didn't even have each other's phone numbers, but you reached out to me, and I want you to tell this story not only because I think it's an inspirational one of a man reaching out to a friend for help, but I also think it makes me look awesome. So go ahead and tell the story.
Yeah. No, it does, man. So, going back to what Brian was talking about, like, I went to a few shows because by that point, like I was running from, like legal issues probably. And my tattoo shop, like I got rid of it in North Carolina. I was living in Chicago, got in trouble in Chicago, then
What
ended
year
up
was
in
this?
Florida,
What year?
2013-ish, 12, 13-ish,
Yeah.
somewhere in that point. And like me and my wife, we'd split. I had a house in Cocoa Beach, and I'd left that. Just just me being unfaithful, and the whole, just
Yeah.
everything that goes with addiction, man.
Everything
And
that goes with being a drug addict.
yeah, and then I was like, well, I'm gonna go back to North Carolina. I'm gonna open a tattoo shop, and I did. I went back, worked one of the craziest business deals you could possibly work. I bought a whole block of commercial real estate for $8, and my lawyer like signed the paperwork, and I ended up with this commercial real estate where my tattoo shop was at. Could have, if I would have been smart, I would have made millions,
Yeah.
but I ended up having to sell it to one of my friends whenever I ended up in treatment. But anyways, that last week out, man, like I had this plan, like, everybody else had done this to me. I was blaming, including my wife.
Yeah.
And I put this plan together, and the plan was to take somebody's life so that way I could go to jail for the rest of my life
Wow.
or end up killing myself. And I was going to drive to Florida. I didn't have a vehicle, so one of my buddies let me borrow his truck, and I took the truck back to my tattoo shop, loaded up my guns and my pit bull, and bought a bunch of heroin, and I drove on my way to Florida. And just as I'm driving, like I'm all this stuff's running through my head. To me, like this is my last couple of days probably on the planet, like, or I'm going to be in prison. And I'm thinking about like, hey man, like who would you reach out to say, goodbye or whatever. And like, I'm in my head, I'm putting this list together, just kind of saying my goodbyes to people and basically saying I'm sorry. Like that's what I was thinking. Like I just wanted to tell people, like, hey, you guys probably didn't know I was dealing with this stuff, but I've got a lot that I'm dealing with, my addiction or whatever. So I didn't know it was addiction at the time. I just thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and man, like Road Dogg was heavy on my mind the whole trip, because I'm like, man, Road Dogg was able to get sober. I'd been to the shows. Like he's still Road Dogg. He's still laughing. He's still funny. Like, man, how did he do that? Like I'm thinking that this trip, this whole trip, and he keeps popping into my head. And finally, I get to my house, and I don't know if somebody had, told the person that what I was thinking, maybe because I shared it with like maybe one person or word got back. But whenever I got there, like they wasn't home. So I was just sitting there by myself. And like at that point I started getting dope sick because I ran out of dope. And like all that was on my mind was like Road Dogg. And I was like, man, I gotta reach out. Like if I reach out to him, maybe there was that I think it was just that last ditch effort of like, please help me. I really don't, I'm not this person. Like I just need some help. I don't know how to get help. Like nobody's ever taught me how to get help. And I reached out to Road Dogg on Twitter, and I still got the messages in my Twitter
He
actually.
slid into my DMs, bro.
Slid up into his DMs, man. I'm like, hey, dude, like, can you talk? Like, I'm struggling. I need some help. Like, I really need to talk to you. And
Yeah.
he responded, and our conversation, and I should have pulled it up and printed it out, but it basically, I remember saying, I was like, he's like, hey man, you know you can be happy. And I was like, Brian, I just want to be happy. It's like I haven't been happy in a long time. And Brian said, like, well, you know, God wants you to be happy. And he goes, and he suggested that I start praying. And he goes, help's on the way. That's what Brian said. Then he got in touch with, you know, like Bob Killar, and uh, the rest is history. But you know, like that was it was a dark week, man. Like that week, it was if it wouldn't have been for him, I would either be dead or in prison for the rest of my life right now.
Wow.
For him,
So now I feel horrible for saying how good it makes me sound, but like I'm so honored, honestly honored that you thought of me, and to me that's not me, that's God using me in your to intervene in your life somehow, and
Yeah.
that's not, look, I'm the same drug addict, low down, dirty dog, egg sucking dog, but we're the same, you know what I mean? And I ain't got no different. I just had some experience, some strength, and some hope
Yeah.
to share with you. And it was,
Yeah.
and I remember I was in the bathroom getting ready to go to TV. I think it was on a Tuesday, and so I was the writer. I'm pretty sure I was the lead writer of SmackDown, and I was like, I can't call you now because I got the world on the world on my shoulders, but I can start the ball. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
start the ball in motion, and all I did was make a phone call, and
Yeah.
and the ball rolled from there. But yeah, I'm honored. I was honored to do that in your life, but I'm more honored that God chose to use me.
Yeah.
I'm not a weapon I would go to often.
Yeah. Well, dude, it's insane because like that, and that's happened to me. You know, like it's a snowball effect.
Yeah,
Like I've helped so many other people in that manner of just like God putting somebody in front of you at the right time in some way, shape, or form.
yeah,
And you know, like obviously, I'm not going to go into names and stuff for anonymity
yeah,
reasons, but there's some people that could say that the same story with me,
yeah.
and
About
then
you.
them
Yeah.
and doing it to somebody else, and it's God's
That
work, no doubt.
yeah, that's the deal, man. You'll never be closer to God here on earth than when you're doing something for somebody else. And
Yeah,
so to just be able to go to give back what little it is, and because then it's, you know, I used to thank Hunter and Stephanie all the time. I would go, hey man, thank you guys for sending me to rehab, and now I'm straight and I'm doing them living, and they're
yeah,
like, you did it. You know, they always told me you did the work, and
yeah,
so that's important. You know what I mean? Yeah,
yeah,
they believed in me, I guess, to pay for the rehab, and you as well. And but then you got to do the work, and I did the work, and you've done the work. And how many
yeah.
years you sober now?
It'll be 6 in December.
How about
6 years.
that?
Did you ever think 6 days was possible?
Dude, I couldn't go 6 minutes.